Hi there. Let's talk a little bit about matric rewrite. I sometimes think it's a bit of a confusing term, so I thought to just talk through what does it mean, how does it work. So matric rewrite, as I understand it, really talks to the student who did matric last year, who failed matric or who are not happy with their matric results, and therefore wants to improve their matric results. So for me that means I'm talking to somebody who wrote matric last year or maybe the year before. You want to rewrite matric. Basically it means you apply for the Second Chance program, which is a program run by Department of Education. You study towards an exam in May and June, and in May-June month you can actually write an exam for one or two subjects, not more than two subjects, and then those marks can be used to improve the results you got the previous year. So you can imagine you can get yourself from a fail to a pass, you can get yourself from a certificate pass to a diploma pass. It's really possible to improve your results by rewriting your matric. If we look at the current year, for this year, that matric rewrite exam registration has already closed. I think it closed the end of March. So you won't be able to write that Second Chance exam. You won't be able to write that matric rewrite exam this year. If you still want to improve your results, of course, that exam runs again next year, and you need to register for the exam before the exam closing date. I'm kind of expecting it to be the end of January next year. To prepare for your matric rewrite, you can there's many places to help you prepare for your matric rewrite. You're going to find that at your school there might be teachers helping students prepare for that matric rewrite. You're going to find there are colleges, there are small education centers that help students prepare for that exam. So if you think you need that external help, then you're going to find yourself a place like that. Since we passed the matric rewrite exam registration date for this year, I thought let me also just talk about what are the alternatives. I certainly understand the need to improve your matric results, but I also think it's worth talking about, so what can I do with the matric results I have? If you failed matric, then obviously you can't study something that has matric as an entry requirement, but there are many programs that one can study where the entry requirement is grade 9 or grade 10 or grade 11. If you've watched me speak about education, you'll know that I'll immediately go to Institute of Certified Bookkeeper programs, because on the easiest program you can start with a grade 10. There's other programs you can enter with a grade 11. And that program takes you up. You get your certificate, you get another certificate, you can end up with an accredited national diploma without ever doing your matric. So it's an opportunity to consider something more career orientated, like Institute of Certified Bookkeepers. They've got bookkeeping accounting studies, they've got office administration studies, and we know those are jobs that are in demand. The other option, if I can get back to just getting your matric again, obviously once you are older than about 20, you can aim for the adult matric qualification. So the adult matric qualification means you ignore what you've done at school, you sign up for 6 subjects, you study, the exams are in May, June every year, so you can sign up for that now, study your adult matric. Basically the requirement is that you must have a grade 9 report to be able to enter the adult matric program. You need to register for that exam before that exam closing date, which I'm expecting to be the end of January next year. Cool, so we've spoken about the matric alternative in adult matric. We've spoken about programs you can study without even having matric. I think the last thing worth mentioning is, you might not be happy with your matric. You might have wanted a bachelor's pass and you have a certificate pass or a diploma pass. Of course, I'm going to say you should consider the national diploma programs, because the entry requirement is not as tough as the entry requirement to get into a degree. If we look at national diplomas, I'm just going to look them up here. So looking at national diplomas, programs you can enter without a matric with a bachelor's pass, if you have matric with a certificate pass, if you have matric with a diploma pass, you'll be accepted onto a national diploma program. We're looking at business management, financial management, office administration, educare, legal secretary. There's a wide range of national diploma programs. The big difference between a national diploma program, of course, and a degree is that national diploma program has got 6-month semesters. So you study for 6 months and then you do 6-month practical. We offer distance learning programs. So with us, you can do the practical work while you are studying, so you can progress through the course much faster. You don't have to take 3 years to get to your national diploma. You can probably do it in 2 years or maybe even less. The other big reason why I'm a fan of national diplomas is they are much more career and job orientated. It's a person with a national diploma, you know, if a person with a national diploma applies for a job, you know that person has done job-related studies, not just theory, and you know that person has done practical work related to their studies. So a person coming out with a national diploma, I believe, is much more job ready, already has some experience, and that's a very real advantage. So there you have it. You know, if you're looking at a matric rewrite, yes, you can do that next year, or you can consider programs you can do without matric, programs you can do with the matric you have. You don't have to take a gap year. I'm not a huge fan of a gap year if you're not advancing yourself in that year. If you're forced to take a gap year, you know you're going to get into studies next year. You could always do a short course this year, try to get some work experience this year. There you are. Thank you very much.